completely transformative. So I think it's important that I give the organizers, Aisha, and our entire team, all of you, for putting this. It looks like a world-class setting, indeed. You know, in the heart of Lagos. I think it's incredible. I never envisioned that this place could also be this transformative. So we want to thank you. Want to thank all of the sponsors that she has acknowledged earlier. I want to thank my boss, my leader, the former governor here, Mr. Fashola. I want to thank our friends from Uganda. I want to thank all of my royal fathers, friends, and brothers. But more importantly, you, the young people, the leaders of tomorrow, the ones that all of this initiative and ideas are meant to serve. I want to, thank all of you for creating out time, to be here. I think the first question that Trace is asking, it's a question that everybody, depends on what side of the divide you see. You will answer it differently. What really does a transformative leader, or what really does leadership mean for you? It's actually a call to service. It's a call to service at a higher level.
Right.
It's usually first a position of grace and authority, is a position of honor, right? And so when you know and you appreciate that indeed you being called a leader is a agglomeration of people accepting and agreeing for you to want to lead them. So you really don't have anything other than the simple head and fingers that they have, but for them donating all of that power to you, first you must humble yourself.
Yeah.
Accept the fact that indeed it's a position of honor and reverence, that position. Once you're able to do that, then indeed, in your sphere of leading, and pushing up all of those leadership, right? There might be tons and tons, there might be problems here and there, but they will not leave you alone.
Yeah.
They will stay with you. They will believe in what you stand for, because indeed they've seen the sincerity of purpose, and the genuineness that you brought, to bear. Once you've been able to solve all of those early calls, then it becomes a lot easier for you to intervene, to instruct, to direct, and to be able to initiate, ideas and opinions. But more importantly, leadership, it's all about ensuring that it's not about you, it's about a generation even that is coming behind you. It's not about your immediate gain, it's about the life of the people that do not even have the opportunity of being in the room, and you are taking those decisions on their behalf. And you are taking a decision that will change their life positively and will impact their life positively. It's about ensuring that it is the greatest good for the greatest number. It's not about what you personally want to benefit from. It's about what the entire generality of the people that have donated that power to you will benefit from. So it's ensuring that indeed the future becomes a bit more predictable for them, that you are, in a position that they will not even doubt your capacity or capability to ensure that what you're doing is for the greatest good, is for the greatest number, and it's for what will benefit the society. Part of the things that you see that usually also, affect, leadership, at those early stages, things around culture. How do people also react, to culture? How has culture helped to be able to design what brand or what kind of leadership, you want? There are some norms and there are some ways that are known in some different parts of the world, that there's some things that you just don't get to do. So your culture, pretty much forms, what are the values and what are the things that, has helped you evolve as a people. And once you understand and appreciate where culture sits, in your leadership, channels, you will also be able to communicate with your people very, very well. And that takes me to the next question. You cannot be a good leader if you're not a good communicator.
Yeah.
If you don't have a means or a channel at which people can actually understand what, and it has to be two-way, both the receiver and the giver. Yeah. You must also be an audience receiver and also be able to communicate and give something back to them. So it's only when those two channels are working well that you can get the right feedback, you can reassess yourself, and you can in turn, come up again with new levels, of leadership skills or leadership, instructions that you want to pass on. And once you are communicating efficiently and effectively, and you're getting the needed feedback, then you know that indeed there are benefits that are coming out of it. There are good stories that are coming out of it, and that will put you, in a better place to ensure that, you continue to do that which you're doing very, very well. But like I said, everybody will understand and will look at these things very differently. I would say that I've been a bit lucky, in Lagos. I have been blessed with previous leaders that have started that mantle, of aggressive leadership, right from our current president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to the likes of my big brother that is here, Babatunde Raji Fashola, to Mr. Mbode, and to myself. So I have actually been very lucky to be able to take, forward what they have built on very quickly and be able to see, challenge, the status quo a little bit.
I actually love that you've mentioned about former leaders that have impacted your journey, because given your illustrious career, I'd love for you to take us down memory lane and maybe highlight one or two defining moments that when you weren't even aware of the heights that you would rise in your leadership journey, what happened with maybe a key mentor or leadership figure that really influenced your journey and has been almost a spinal cord to the body that you've built in leadership today?
Well, they say that you cannot eat an omelette if you don't break the egg. So if you don't also take the early steps, you will probably never be able to get there. And so what are the early steps? Get a good background education, understand that, you have a purpose at every level of career that you find yourself. It doesn't matter what it is, but make sure that in all that you find yourself doing, make sure that you're doing it very well. These are just early calls that everybody needs to have. Whatever position, whatever office, whatever, assignment you find doing, do it very well. Because people are watching, people are looking, and people are the ones going to recommend you. So that's just a basic, general ground rules that everybody. So you're not saying that I'm here, I'm not happy. If you're not happy, you shouldn't be there. Once you're there, put in your very best, because somebody is also going to recommend you even for a bigger role later down the line. So the early thing there is do your very best at whatever level you find yourself. So I continue to do that. So I've moved industry from oil and gas, to banking, to finance, and by some sheer, sitting in a small corner office in a banking industry, I found myself in public service. But you know how it works. We're always very quick ones to condemn and to criticize public officers and public service. So you never believe that you're going to be on that side. So when the opportunity came up, it was like a whole lot of doubts, not sure on how these things are going to turn. But the moment I took the decision and I plunged in, I realized there were incredible set of people that were there that I quickly need to do two things: relearn, unlearn, and learn, relearn, and unlearn. I had to drop whatever are my ears behind, learn new things on how to navigate in public service, and relearn based on my previous knowledge. So I was able to do that very quickly, and I was able to settle in. Once you're able to settle in, you begin to make impact. Impact, you could even be the smallest around, but you begin to make impact. You begin to talk intelligently and act, understanding how culture also works. Because the public service is also a place where it's hierarchical. Age comes around, what are people that have been around for longer years, how to give mutual respect, and that way you will meander the pitfalls very, very quickly. So that was how my trajectory started, and I had the opportunity of listening and watching leaders. Like I said, my first public office was when Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was the governor of the state, and I sit down quietly in my corner, listening, watching the likes of BRF and several others that are world leaders and their country leaders today. And I was able to pick it up very quickly. One of the benefits that I had was that Asiwaju exposed me to a lot of international trips and international engagement. I was crisscrossing from my portfolio, to everything, from transportation to environment to public safety to education. I was probably just, I never know, and I was probably doing it. If I was in transportation, I put in all my very best, challenge the people that are there. Revenue generation, I go in and was able to also, improve the numbers and challenge the people that are there. Environment, change the status quo, and that was how the learning, started, and that government went on and completed, and I got another opportunity. Now, with Mr. Babatunde Fashola, now in a more specific role, in a role that people usually think that role is not a role that is rewarding financially, if I dare say so, but it's a role that would bring in your very best in terms of intellectual capacity and how you can use that role to develop the likes of what we're seeing in Lateef Jakonde Leadership Academy today. And I took on that role, and I imagine that I did it fairly well. I did it fairly well. But guess what? When we thought it was time to renew that same role, I never got renewed. And so that in itself, if you talk of, how things happen, I never got back to go into that government. And I thought, appraising myself, I was probably maybe number 1, number 2, or number 3 in a class of 40. But guess what? Sometime in public office, if you think that you're number 1, it might not be the valedictorian. Because there are other things that are being considered, that. But that gave me an opportunity to stop, drop everything, reappraise myself, retool myself, and I was able to launch myself subsequently into another level and subsequently got into this position of the governor. Yeah. So sometimes you will think that a stoppage or a change of what you're expecting having not come out in itself is the end of the road. No, it's actually the beginning of another role for you. Yep. If you can quickly see it, and if you can go back and reappraise yourself, realign yourself, and be frank and be sincere with it, and learn new things. Learn new things and challenge yourself that I'm not going to give up. Because it's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you're able to quickly get up each time you fall. And guess what? The world is watching and the world is waiting. And so I was able to quickly put all of that together, learn from my previous experience, put all of those learnings together, find out new areas of skills that is required, and you're able to prepare, those things. So you don't lose what you have learned. Yep. You relearn, you unlearn, and you push yourself forward. And here we are today.
Powerful.
Thank you.
I love the principle. I love the principle you leaned on, which is delay is not denial. Yeah. And when we look at the highlights of your leadership, the headlines, it's very easy to actually forget this is a human being behind all of this greatness that we are celebrating and seeing. For people in the audience, like myself, that are slowly entering into positions of leadership or even aspiring to positions of leadership, what would you say when you look at a day in the normal life of yourself? What would be some of the principles that you feel you exhibited that made exceptional leaders say, there is something different in this individual that we will be able to utilize to go to the next level? And how were you able to weave that into your oil and gas sector, your banking? How were you able to weave those principles that really made you stand out from the crowd?
Well, thank you. So, like I said earlier, no knowledge should be lost. Whatever it is you're doing currently is a learning for something in future. Yeah. So never waste an opportunity. Especially even in a period of crisis. Never waste an opportunity. You never understand sometimes how some of these things are going to turn out. But like I keep saying, putting your very best in whatever position you find yourself, in whatever office, because it might be a tool. It might be a need that you use further down the line. Part of the things that I would advise and I would say to people, or part of the things that I do, is also surround yourself with people that you believe appears that they're smarter than even you, so that you can pick stuff around them. Appears, is a relative word, but make sure that you are always around people that you can also pick. You should never just given and given. You should be able to also receive. Yeah. Receive knowledge, receive skills, receive understanding, receive access, and be able to utilize those things very well. So those are some of the things. So you should not see yourself as an individual that is standing out and that you believe that you are the best at all times. That in itself, it's not a good, leadership tool. So you must always, surround people that you can pick something from, no matter the age bracket, and learn something from, understand something from, and be able to, keep that within you. I think part of the things that we've seen, also around us here is how also reward system also happens. people usually also feel that some of these things are, there's a right, to reward or to how you appraise, situation. I think reward must be reciprocal. I think the reward system must be such that, you've brought in something to the table. You've actually, passed on a skill, a knowledge, an innovation that must warrant you, to get, compensated or reward, So I also use that, as a tool, and I identify people very quickly to be able to, use a measurement of, what are the things I've taken from you? How do I also reward you? How also do I now retain you? Knowing fully well that, you have what it takes to be around me. What are the things that I need to do to retain, you? There's always something around in political space, which is, we don't see it in a lot of private space, which is loyalty. For public service, loyalty is also critical. Believe in a cause and stay true to that cause. Be committed onto that cause and see that somebody is watching, somebody is not watching. You truly, really are pushing, that agenda, very, very, quickly. In the private sector, you say is a common shareholder value, that the shareholders must have a sense of, purpose, and once you feed into that shareholder value, right, you begin to run. So what are things that I will say to the audience, today is that there never any one measure fits all. There's never any quick fix to any of these things. Different designs, different models, of, ensuring, accessing, creating leadership are always evolving, as we go along. I'll give you some of the practical examples that we've seen, where some of our decisions, our policies will outlive some of us. Some other person created LASMA, for example. Yes. Today, LASMA is a success story, not only in the country, not only in Lagos, other states around us are quick to copy, and there's nothing wrong with copying. You just copy well, and a lot of other states, several of them have had similar, agencies like LASMA. You have.
I think before we go into more of the examples, because I actually want to delve much deeper in it in a lot more detail, I actually wanted to go a bit back to the beginning. There's no doubt you're a visionary, without a shadow of a doubt. And we're here to talk about the transformative leadership, and having vision is very, very key to this. But when we first saw you get into that seat of power, what was the vision? What was the original vision to ensure that you were going to make a difference and make an impact as you have? And how do you feel that journey has actually evolved for you?
Well, thank you. I don't think the work is completely done yet. It's still work in progress.
Very humble.
Absolutely. Because we've still got 2 years, and for those 2 years, we want to work twice as hard, twice as smart, twice as better, so that we'll finish very strong and very well, right? So it's still working. But starting up, like I said, is to look at what is on ground, and how do you, retool what is on ground, knowing fully what are the strengths of what is on ground, to be able to very quickly, very, very quickly, with clarity of vision, be able to build on it. So one of the things we did was that we wanted to build Africa's mega model city. We wanted to build a city that works, that is alive, that is safe, and is a model. It's an African city, but it's a global model, right? That's really, it's a big visionary, statement, where you want to be globally competitive, but not losing your Africanness. The Africanness, the culture of Africa, and what makes you an African city. You don't want to lose it. But you want to do it, with resilience. You want to do it with safety, with security, with a shared prosperity for your citizens. Yeah. And for you to do that, there are some verticals that must happen. There are some policies, there are some programs, there's some heavy lifting that you needed to do. So it wasn't so difficult for us to come up, listening to our people, asking questions from our citizens, understanding what their needs are, to come up with what we call a team's agenda,
right,
which truly really reflects how we want to be, running or leading our state with the support of our citizens. And I'm sure almost everybody here understands what the team's agenda is: traffic management and transportation, health, and education, health and environment, education and and technology, making Lagos a 21st century economy, entertainment and tourism, security and good governance, And in the second time after our subsequent election, because after the first 4 years, one of the things that we said to ourselves is that let's go back to our vision again. Can we retweak it? Is it working well? Are people in tune with it? Are there things that we need to drop? Are there things we need to add on? And guess what? We now came up with a Teams Plus agenda. So the plus there is the addition to the teams that we had in the first 4 years. So the plus there becomes a flavor upon the teams. And what does the plus mean? It meant things around what we're doing here. Youth, women engagement, inclusivity, and you could see that it brought a whole lot of freshness to the first 4 years of our engagement. So the vision is alive, is real, is working, is something people can feel. We can actually count, how many number of schools that were built. We can feel how many number of new roads and bridges we have done. We can actually feel and tell people how many number of new hospitals we have. So it's not just in the air. We can actually do the numbers of how many, creative minds, creative industry players that we have been able to enable and empower. How many scholarship in terms of research, and grants that we've given. How many innovators that we have supported, whilst not crowding them. How many new businesses, MSMEs that we have actually elevated and given grants to that is not alone. So these are specific, actions and visions that has helped us as a government to be able to see the impact of our interventions over the last almost 6 years now. To say that, well, thus far, God has helped us. We believe we can still, do a lot more. But in the midst of all of it, and it's important for me, we've also had our own moments of challenge. COVID was a moment of challenge. It was a global, issue that nobody expected. But guess what? Lagos was able to respond. Lagos was the centerpiece of the country, and we're able to save and keep, the country and the city alive. Half of the entire countrywide, issue happened in Lagos, and we responded very well. Thankfully, we were able to keep our people. They were not killed. And so the other thing that also happened, which was a lot of learning, was the answers. Riots and all of the things. I'm sure in Accra, in Ghana, you heard about it. A lot of my young people here were all experiences of it. So for us, it was a learning and a lesson. The outcome of an important communication, like that, was not lost on me personally, because I was in the eye of it. I was the center of it. Fine, there were misunderstandings. There were things that we did not communicate well. There were things that we did not pass on well. But we did not lose, the outcome of it. We did not lose ability to be able to communicate and engage, out of it. So I can continue like that. So in all of the journey, right, crises are also moments in which leaders will be challenged. Yeah. But how you come out of it and how you respond is also important. What you do with the learning and the lessons of a crisis is also important for you to become a better leader, a better transformative leader, as you engage yourself further.
Thank you. I think that deserves a round of applause. Just some of the impactful things that has been done under your leadership. Myself, I'm Ghanaian, but I've lived in Nigeria now for 10 years.
You have?
Yes, I live here. And one of the many things that I see in Nigeria is the vibrant and competent youth demographic that we have, and how enterprising they are, and how much they go for opportunities with a doggedness that I honestly have never seen. And I've traveled the world and worked with youth all over. But when I look at the music and entertainment sector in particular, which for me is my sweet spot as a Netflix creator and as a journalist, I find that it's incredible how they're able to harness their power of natural talent, natural gifts, natural grit, and be able to take that to the global arena and play among some of the biggest, greatest players that we admire since growing up, I'm sure. Now, when I look at the work that you've done within Lagos State, and I really want to highlight this because we are in an audience of youth, can you talk to us about some of the structures that you've actually put in place to further help the youth thrive and continue to make an impact during your tenure?
Well, thank you very much. And I think maybe I will also get informal now so that I can look at them, and not get so, and I want to say this, The future of we sitting here, it's all about you guys. It's all about what we can do, the verticals that we can lay, the structures we can put in place to make, this place a lot better than we've met it. There is nothing driving us, me personally, every day that I wake up, than asking myself, how do I just make this place a lot better? And like Tracy had said, we're a mesh, we're opportune in this country and in this state to be bound with talents, young, innovative, creative talents that are unmeasurable. The energy of Lagosians, the energy of the young people of Nigerian descent is incomparable with anyone in the world. So don't let anybody think that you are half, better, or you are half the make of it. You are equal, if not better, than all of them. And so what are the things you should be doing? One of the strongest things that we should be doing is what Aisha is doing here today, which is why we created the Lateef Jakonde Leadership Academy. We took it upon ourselves and said that if we have been blessed with great leaders of the likes of late Alhaji Lateef Jakonde, great leaders like Shuaju and BRF, the minimum we can do is to be able to recreate and give that opportunity for subsequent people to be able to learn and lead from. Outside of that, is also to look at what Tracy has said, the creative industry. This is an industry that needs, innovation. This is an industry that people just want to fly, people just want to live, and people want to recreate things. People want to challenge the status quo and not be held down by borders and the rest of it. And part of the things that we've done is that we don't want to crowd you. We just want to present policies and programs that will let you do that. And how are we doing that? Identify what you want to do, look at our various ministries, and if it is grants that we need to give to you, if it is financial support that we need to roll out to you for you to be able to achieve that objective, those are some of the things we've done. And we've started doing it. Last week, which is the Lagos Science and Research Innovation Council, is a council that was set up to help young, intelligent, smart Lagosians, Nigerians, to be able to create stuff out of the finance, so out of the Science and Research Center, tech-driven, science-driven, and innovation, patent, anything you want to imagine, you want to do. You've got a grant on the table for you to be able to do it. You've got a grant on the table for you to be able to innovate, and we will handhold you to get you to a level where you can become. And we've seen it. We've gone to Dubai, we've gone to Abu Dhabi, we've gone to the US. Some of our awardees have gone to do a lot of great things and also with the entertainment industry, we know that this is all around exposure, it's all around giving the opportunity and a platform for them to be able to do it. And so that's why, as a government, we'll continue to ensure that we provide such platforms for them, not only in grants, but creating various verticals of engagement. The commissioner is not here, but I want to assure you that there's so many things that are even going to be happening from the second half of this year, up until end of this year, all around the creative industry. We talked about, not so dirty, I don't want to use the word, something in December, but we want to make it a nicer December.
Okay. Will we see you partying with us, sir?
Well, we will. So we want to even roll it back. And from the month of September through October, November, and December, have a full calendarization of activity in Lagos, in tourism, in fashion, in entertainment, in music, everything, all the works. We will be working with you to give you a global stage, to give it a global exposure, to give it a global voice, and be able to take you forward and just make sure that you have all of the platforms for you to grow, for you to fly, and for you to do well. And that's what we're doing.
Incredible. I mean, I think that we can all agree when you share your insights, it's extremely eye-opening and educational. I would like to take the opportunity. My name is Peace Hyde, but from now on, if you guys call me anything but Tracy, I'm not responding.
Where did I get Tracy?
Because a great man has called me Tracy, and that's all I want.
Where did I get Tracy from?
It's okay, sir. I receive it in Jesus' name. I thought I receive it in Jesus' name. God bless you, sir.
It's a lot nicer name, actually.
Bless you. Before we go to question and answer, I just want to get final words that you would give to people that are passionate for following in your footsteps? Because there's so much to learn from you in such a short period of time, but it would be incredible to find out.
Well, I mean, I think that is very humbling, you know, when you begin to think that you're a superhuman being than your fellow human being. I mean, we're all the same. It's usually always a case of the opportunity that's in front of you and a bit of a risk that you take. Because indeed, I will not kid you, you also need to be able to take a bit of a risk. You know, I mean, it could be calculated, you know, it could be a bit of good luck, but take it, you know, never be too scared about the deep end. You know, the deep end might actually just be a starting point for you to rediscover yourself. You know, I mean, once you are able to, you know, be very courageous, be very discerning, you know, and be very forthright, you know, about what you believe, what your standards, what your principles are, please go for it. One of the things that I will say to you that is not always a tea party. There are low moments, even in leadership. There are quiet moments. There are lonely times. I mean, my mom will tell you that there are times in which you wake up deep in the night and you are a bit confused. You know, so you also need to do a lot of deep inner reflection and be able to detox yourself, take out time, you know, clear your head. It could get really very, very bumpy sometimes. There are some phone calls that I really get scared to pick. You know, when they call me at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. and it's my head of safety commission that is calling me, it's not calling me to say good evening or good night. It's calling to tell me that there's a building or there's a fire disaster or something. But guess what? You still have to pick that call and you still have to be able to give instruction. You cannot sound panic. You cannot sound defeated. You need to give them words of encouragement. You need to give them words of assurance so that they come out there and go and do the very difficult job. These are first responders, and they must be able to go out there and go and save life and solve the problem. So there are several learning things, you know. Sometimes, you know, they say that your word is your bond. Tough decisions, you made a mistake, somebody is calling you, deal with it. Pick the call, apologize, take the learning, take the lesson, tell them where you are wrong, and be able to draw the line and say that, you know what, I would be a better person going forward. It's not running away from when a problem is, not hiding or pretending that there's no problem when there's one. Be able to deal with it, even as difficult as it might be. You know, when you are able to tell somebody, you know what, I told you yesterday is not going to happen. You know, today you are still pushing me, but yesterday I gave you a right information. Stay on the side of truth at all times. It might be difficult, it might be painful, but it will help you further down the line. You know, I mean, you know, they say talk is cheap, but hey, sometimes we all need to say these things and act it and believe in. It's not an easy life. It's not an easy world. I would not kid you. But believe me, it's not about, you know, being the strongest person. Sometimes it's about just empathy. It's about love. It's about understanding that we're all in this together. And once we hold ourselves, you know, hand in hand, we all come out stronger at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, I'd like to open the floor. Your Excellency Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, it's been such an inspiring and insightful conversation, but I know there's a lot of questions out there and they will lynch me if I don't give you the floor. So please, we'll be going around and getting a few questions in. I understand. So if we'll start with the first question, I'm not sure, is Bisola, are you the one getting the question?
Okay, do we have any questions? We have questions. So we have some of our ushers going around with microphones. So please raise your hand and we'll get a microphone across to you. Thank you, Tracy. Sorry, please.
Oh, no problem.
Good afternoon to the Executive Governor of Lagos State, the Royal Father, and all the executive members of the state. Also the former governor of Lagos State, SN Babajide Sanwo-Olu. I greet you, sir. My question to you is this, sir. What is the role of the grassroots leaders to the youth of Lagos State? Number 2, can I be the part of the NED administration in my local government and serve as...
What's the role of who?
What is the role of grassroots leaders in the road? What is the role of grassroots leaders to the youth of Lagos State?
Yes.
Grassroots leaders. Number 2.
Grassroots leaders.
Yes.
Grassroots leaders.
Yes. Okay. Number 2, can I be the part of the next administration in my local government and serve as the supervisor for youth and social development to change the narrative about the youth in my community and local government as a whole? Momoni Olaiwaju Aderemi by name.
Okay. Thank you very much, Olaiwaju. Let me just, it says, what is the role of grassroots leaders? You've said it. I mean, first, you're a leader, right? But you're a leader at a grassroots level. So you are a strong social mobilizer at that level, right? You know, it's like a pyramid, you know, and there's leadership at each of those. It's like a pyramid, right? So at the grassroots, one of the advantages that you see is that you actually have a lot more people, you know, to superintend over, right? As compared to a leader that is at the peak of the pyramid, you know. So a leader at the peak relies more on a lot of feedbacks, you know, relies more on a lot of instructions, you know, for them to be able to take those decisions. That's why I said, you know, but at this level, right, the role is critical. You are the ones that feel the people the most. You are the ones that the people see every day, right? But you must also ensure that you equip yourself and you also don't overstretch yourself. You must also be able to be sincere as into what your roles and responsibility, what are your authority, you know, where do you drive your authority from, and what are the things that you can make commitments to, you know. So first thing first is that if you don't have the authority of some things, you do not promise them. You know, one of the things that you are passing, you are ensuring is that you are mobilizing them, you know, as a force that we can together, you know, take our request or our issue, we can take it forward, we can take it up to another level of leadership. You understand? So you are a social mobilizer at that stage, but you can take whatever your intervention, whatever your request, because you might not have all of the powers, you know, to solve their transportation problem. You might not have all the powers to solve their school problem, but you can, as a grassroots or as a, you know, youth mobilizer leader at that level, do a letter to say that in this local government, with all of these various communities, we are lacking of a new primary school, we are lacking of a new secondary school, and your voice will be heard, because that letter, you are representing that community, and you have taken that letter to another level where a decision as into a new primary school or a new healthcare center must be provided. You have intervened and you have done your work. You have escalated the problem, and and rightly so, you have continued to earn the respect of your community at that level. You understand? So you can see that you have a role to play, but you just need to understand and know the channel, you know, of your responsibility and your authority that you have.
Thank you very much. One more question, please. Just one more question, so we can move on to the other roundtable discussions. Thank you.
Yes, please. Good afternoon. I am Biola Tiri Adidamula. I'm over here, sir. I run a small-scale business. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I run a small-scale business. Okay. Okay. Yes. And as a youth, I understand that for us to lead, we need to be innovative. Now, one of the attributes of a transformative leader is mental soundness. Mental soundness. What are the measures that are put in place to ensure that young people, we understand that in the current world we have, there are so many abuse of so many things that can either disrupt the soundness of young people. What are the measures we are putting in place to curtail the abuse of these things? You know, we have the Latif Jakonde Academy. That is to ensure that we have good leadership. What are the things we are putting in place for sound mental health of young people? Because for us to think and to be innovative, we need to be sound mentally. What are the measures that are put in place? I understand that.
I understand.
So much has been going on.
That's
Yes,
okay.
yes.
I will answer. And I can see some of my medical PAMSEC here just shaking their head. What's your name again? Biola. Biola Tiri. You know, that's a critical and a very firm and very sincere question. Your world and my world, quite frankly, we're still in the same world, but it has changed. It's not the same world that we had 30 years ago, 35 years ago when I was your age. You know, it's certainly not the same thing. The entire structure has changed. You know, those days, for me to, I can share the experience, for me to talk to my girlfriend You know, you need to queue in front of a phone booth, you know, and you need to wait an hour. And when you finish that conversation, you need to agree to see yourself a week or 10 days down the line. You need to pre-arrange that, and you know that you're not going to see or communicate for the next 10 days again. That is not the world that we have today. The world that you have today is that every 1 hour, every 10 minutes, you have a means of communication. So what it is that I've seen is that there's also information overload. There's also information overload with your generation. You're on the phone, you are scrolling what is happening in Sacramento, you're looking at what is happening in Uganda, you're looking at what is happening in Accra, and you're using it to judge what is happening in Isaleco that you are. That is, so the mental, you know, it's difficult. Sometimes they say, no information is good information sometimes. Fine, it's a world that we all can play. But we do not know what are the issues that we have in Sacramento. We don't know how they got to what the decision they are making in Accra or in Uganda. But where we are here in Lagos, we can see things for ourselves. But we're using it to judge and to make a decision. It will affect your mental well-being. Please, one of the things that I will leave you with, please, not everything you see on social media that you need to believe. Not everything that they put out there that you need to kill yourself over. Once you're able to draw the line, right, I know that there are times when I can go and check for information, for clarification, but it is not how to run my life. But even as a government, we are not going to shy away from the fact that mental health issue is real, and we need to be able to deal with it. And so what have we done? I mean, it might sound ridiculous, but we're building in the country the largest mental health facility institution in Lagos State. Because as a government, we are the first to critique ourselves to say that this problem, we need to be able to deal with it. So one of the things is let us build a facility, let us build capacity, let us build institution for people that require, you know, attention for them to be to. Because even if they don't have a place to go to, then you have failed them as a government. So one of the things you said that let us build a facility. And we're building the largest. It's about 60-70%. Commissioner completed is outside of Lagos in K2. We're building over 1,000 beds. Not because we want to christen anybody, but because we need to have the conversation. We need to be able to explain things to ourselves and talk about it and be able to resolve it so that as young people, you come out of it better. You understand? So as a government, we're doing our own bit. You know, we want to. And we want to also be able to continue to engage. You know, but you have the role to play. The role to play is also don't overload yourself, don't overjudge yourself, don't be too critical about yourself as well. And like I said, you know, things also, yeah, you know, everybody wants to blow at 25. Okay, there's nothing bad at blowing at 45, quite frankly, you know, but, you know, 25 lines sounds very, very, very nice. But if you get it at 42, you'll make a good of it. So let's balance life, you know, let's balance it and let's see, you know, that there's a benefit, you know, and ensuring that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the honor of having the opportunity to sit down with you and for this incredible event. I think one of the biggest takeaways is leadership is not about a title, it's not about a position, it's about the character and the heart of the man. And you have an exceptional character and heart, son. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to learn from you today. Thank you very much.
Where's our picture?
Oh, yes. Please, can we get a picture with Tracy and our Excellency?